All right. So Bruce and Jordan just took you guys through some really awesome facts, and we know that storytelling has been around forever. So it's really key to know how to use them and where to use visuals. And of course, you know, outside of the career site and other own digital properties like your microsites or landing pages or mobile, social media does tend to be a great place and one of the most common places to see visual storytelling and a way to tell your employer brand story to candidates in a really unique way. So we'll actually go through some examples for each of these various channels. We'll start with Facebook. Facebook, I would say it's pretty safe to say that most people are on Facebook now, so the audience is there. The original thought behind Facebook was visual, so you had, you know, people comparing photos of each other, and then for a long time, Facebook became more about status updates and some text, where it's come back to that visual focus. So now we have the format of a Facebook page is really focused on visuals. You've seen the profile picture, the header image, the news feed content really emphasizes visual previews of images and videos. You've got autoplay on video. So you've seen the way that Facebook has changed over time to really focus on visuals. And we've seen that a couple brands specifically, Verizon and T-Mobile, are really doing a really awesome job of taking advantage of visuals and showing their company culture and what they're all about so that candidates can get a really great idea from their Facebook page and from their content on Facebook about what it's like to work there. And they do that through a variety of images. You'll see images of their employees, they have memes, they have videos, so you see a variety there. Then we come to Twitter. It's another interesting channel. It's actually originally text-based. You'll notice a lot of the tweets are usually text, sometimes links to articles, but again, they've kind of come around to this more visual formatting. Actually, this particular brand, Zappos here, does a great job of highlighting their culture without even posting about jobs themselves. So the majority of the content that you'll find there is image-based. But you'll also notice that Twitter, and just to note, Twitter is number 3 search engine. And when I say search engine, I don't mean it's comparable to Google, but what I do mean is that people go to Twitter to search in the search bar for information. So it's number 3 after Google and after YouTube, which I think is really interesting, and it shows that there is a large quantity of people there and actively searching for information and for jobs as well. So you have candidates there. But you notice that Zappos and also another brand that's doing very well is Glassdoor. They highlight their culture. They give you an idea visually of what it's like to work there, what their employees are like, what their culture is like, and you don't even have to do that with specific job information. And actually that Glassdoor one, you'll see the new profile of Twitter has moved to be very similar to what Facebook's template is like as well. In a similar fashion, Instagram has a similar look and feel. Instagram's a newer channel in the space. It's owned by Facebook. And again, this main focus is photo sharing, and it was originally photo sharing. They've now since added video capabilities as well since the launch of Vine, which we'll talk about in a few slides, but Vine is Twitter owned, so of course, you know, when a competitor comes out with something new, you've got to introduce something new as well. So Instagram does now feature videos. You have about 15 seconds to show something through a video format that you can share on Instagram. What's really neat about Vine and Instagram specifically is that these two channels are really mobile focused. So you can use them and post on these channels right from your mobile, and you can't do that from a desktop. You can view the information from a desktop, but again, you can't be actively engaged in that way. So they've taken a really neat take on social and mobile as a joint effort. And then we see here Microsoft and Starbucks are two really awesome brands using Instagram to show kind of that backstage pass that Bruce mentioned and the behind the scenes about their corporate culture, their employees, and what really stands out and what they believe in as companies. Then we come to YouTube. So I mentioned YouTube is the number 2 search channel after Google, which is amazing because it's all video content. So people want to view video content, whether it's short or long form. Short form would be something more like Instagram or Vine where it's just a few seconds, but YouTube, you can upload videos of really any length that you want. So we've seen a couple employer brands do a really great job of highlighting long form video content. Sometimes that's in the form of showing a day in the life. You'll see here UCLA, and we'll also show some examples from Adobe. Both do that very well. They show examples through video of what it's like to work there from different viewpoints and from different job categories. And that not only gives candidates an idea of your culture and your brand, but it also shows what a potential career path might be for that particular job or job description. All right, so let's talk Pinterest. So this is something that's relatively new to the space, and not a lot of brands are actually using Pinterest for career information or their employer brand, but there are a few that are, and they're doing a really good job. So we actually noticed that Taco Bell has an amazing Pinterest strategy for their careers information, as well as Intuit, which we'll show, but they have some really neat ways of grouping content. So what Pinterest does, it allows you to pin content, which just basically means share content, and group it into boards, which you'll see on the left image, that are just groups of themes of content. So you basically can do, a themed board of location information that you might say, Taco Bell careers in their specific locations. You can do something about the foundations that they support or about your employees. There's a lot of different directions you can go in. And what's unique about Pinterest is that you're not only sharing content that you've created, you're also sharing content created by others. So it's just a curation channel, and it really allows a lot of engagement and a real opportunity to show what your brand is about from a unique content standpoint and from also sharing other people's content. And so you'll see that with Taco Bell here, and you'll also see that with Intuit. They've both done a great job, and they've taken their boards and their themes in totally different directions, which makes sense because they're two different companies. They have two different cultures, and you want your boards and your content to reflect who you are as a brand and as an employer overall. So Google Plus is another channel. Of course, it's a newer social network, obviously owned by Google. But what's unique is that it's one of the fastest growing channels that have ever been, basically. So a lot of people are joining in and making profiles and using it. But what's really key about Google Plus and what you really need to know is that because it's a Google product, it does affect your SEO, which is where your sites will rank in organic search results. So it's definitely a key channel to consider if you haven't already, and we noticed that most brands haven't really put Google Plus into their social recruiting strategy quite yet. It's definitely time to start thinking about that, especially with its strong effect on your SEO rankings. What is different about Google Plus as we're doing this entire conversation is that, we're talking about visuals, and the best practice for Google Plus is actually more text-based. We use it more often than not for a micro blog to post really valuable keyword-rich content because that's the kind of content that's going to affect your SEO positively. With that said, though, the most engaging content on Google Plus is the content that has images, and that includes, infographics, memes, photo albums. So there definitely is a good way to use visuals with Google Plus. You just have to remember that because it's so SEO heavy, that content and the verbiage that you use on Google Plus is going to be a key factor as well. Whole Foods has done an amazing job of using Google Plus, and they're one of the only brands that we actually found doing their social recruiting on Google Plus. So LinkedIn, I don't think I have to tell everyone what this is. I think we're probably all very familiar with LinkedIn as a social media because it is innately a professional networking site. We know that this tends to have an ideal audience for recruitment information and for employer branding efforts. So we were going to look specifically at your company profile. Many of you know that there's a careers tab there, and then you also have the opportunity to brand that. So you can add in these great visuals, the header image, you can add videos, and we feel that Google has done a really good job of doing this. And when, candidates are looking for a job, they often go to LinkedIn to look at your company profile and to get an idea of who you are as an employer and what kind of job opportunities you have. So it's key that your company profile, specifically your careers tab, is showing that brand effectively. And not only that, the content that you're sharing from your LinkedIn profile, in the past I've seen a lot of content being shared from brands that's, article-based, text-based, but again, we've seen the most engaging content on LinkedIn is the content that includes some sort of visual. So whether that's, a meme or an infographic or a link to a video, something with that visual component tends to get more views, more clicks, more shares on LinkedIn, as well as every other channel. And then lastly, we'll talk about Vine, which I have mentioned briefly. It's similar to Instagram. However, Vine does not offer the photo aspect of sharing. It's strictly video, and it's shorter form. So you have a maximum of 6 seconds to create your video. And what's challenging but really awesome about that is that it forces you to be really creative with what you're posting. You have to, get to the point and fit in everything that you want to share, all within a short 6 seconds. Again, this is a channel that really brands haven't totally gotten into yet, especially when it comes to social recruiting and your employer brand. But again, we found a couple that are doing some really neat things, one of which is Nestle Purina, which you'll see here. They've got some really awesome content that shows their corporate culture and what they do, on a daily basis. And then another brand that we found was actually Manifest Digital. And what's really cool about this company is that, it is a little bit more of a creative company in the sense that it's like a creative firm. But in that left visual, I love that they are actually making the video seem like they're coming across that fourth wall and like breaking through your mobile app screen. So you can see how creative you can get in just a short 6 seconds and how you can portray some of your career information and your employer brand through these short form videos.